friends and felines, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're benching on my channel for the first time today, hi, hello, and welcome. Don't forget to that subscribe button before you leave today. But hello guys, welcome to the year 2022. I can already tell this year is going to have a lot in store for me. I already have some possibly good news and stuff in the works, so I'm pretty excited about that. But looking back, 2021 was a pretty good year for me as well. You just have to make the most out of it. I know it's been a rough time for a lot of people. I'm not trying to gloat and say I had such a great year. So we went hiking a lot. I saw a lot of local sites. We went to Salem. We ended the year in Texas. So it was just a really, really good trip. So today's video is just going to be a chill one to start off the new year. I took some time off after our vacation just to kind of regroup, refresh, and get my expectations that I want for myself and for this year just all put in line and just see what I want to do for this channel. So today's video is just going to be a laid back. I'm just going to play around with some makeup, get ready, and just go over my awesome trip to Texas in case anyone is interested. So if you just want to go ahead and get ready with me on this very gloomy Sunday, then go ahead and keep on watching. So I'm wearing this really cute sweater that I thrifted. It's orange and black and stuff. It's really big and oversized, but it kind of falls off the shoulder. So if it looks like I'm getting a little scandalous, I don't mean it. It just kind of has the off the shoulder thing. So that's why I have a bralette underneath. It is what it is. All right, so I'm gonna kind of just go with it's kind of like a shop my stash. I didn't film that portion where I just went through my makeup and see if there was anything new that I haven't tried yet or anything I haven't used in a while. So that's what we're gonna use today. So to start off with, I have this little sample size of the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. This is something that's been popular in the influencer world for a while and I've never tried it, so we'll give it a shot and hopefully I don't love it so much and then go and have to buy it because it's expensive. Also, I officially took down all my Christmas decorations yesterday, so this is kind of where my backdrop is at. I think I like it. I don't know if I want to put anything in that bowl back there, but yeah, I don't know. I thought it was cute. Let me guys know if you have any opinions on that. But like I said, we're going to go into the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base and we're going to start talking about my Texas trip. So we left on Christmas Eve to go down to Texas and we drove the whole way, so it took us 2 days to get down there. And a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, you drove? And honestly, it was not bad. Since most of our driving was on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, there was no traffic at all and there was no weather. It was a perfect drive down, no complaints there. And plus looking at all the flights that were canceled, there were a couple thousand that were canceled Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And then even more canceled New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So that's exactly when we would have been flying. And so it would have been better just to have our car and be able to drive instead of having our flight get canceled and then have to get a rental car anyways. So the drive down there was really not bad at all. We rented a Nissan Armada. We wanted to get a full-size SUV because neither one of our tiny Ford Fiestas were going to make the trip. And we ended up getting a Nissan Armada. And it's not a bad car to rent. I wouldn't buy one, but it's not that bad to rent. Alright, so we're going to go into the E.L.F. Flawless Satin Foundation. I tried this once, but I never previously tried it. I brought my Infallible 24-hour fresh wear from L'Oreal for the trip, but I ended up running out of it. I didn't expect that. So I had to go to the store and we went to this Walmart and it was really tiny and they had no makeup and it was all locked up. And I didn't want to get someone to come unlock it. And they didn't even have the L'Oreal Infallible 24-hour fresh wear. So I was going to get Maybelline or something else. But there was one section that wasn't locked up and I was able to sneak in and get E.L.F. And I got the shade 130 Snow. It has cool pink undertones, which is usually what I go for. So I was hoping this would match my skin. I think it's maybe a little bit light, but I was trying it out and I don't think I'm a fan. So we're going to try it out again one more time. And I'm going to use some beauty sponges from Eco Tools that my fiance got me for Christmas. So we'll see. So this foundation is really light and it's really thin, there's no coverage. I think it says it's supposed to be oil free with medium coverage and I feel this is more sheer than it is medium. So anyway, yeah, we made it to Houston. So our first full day in Houston was on Sunday the 26th and right out the bat we had a busy day. So initially we were going to the Lone Star Museum. I think they didn't open till like noon for it being a Sunday. But we ended up stopping at the San Jacinto Monument and like little museum that was there. And this is pretty much like the Washington Monument, but actually bigger. And it has like a giant star on the top, and it has its own like reflection pool. Now the area isn't as like pretty as the Washington Monument is, but the tower, like the actual monument, was taller than the Washington one, so that was like pretty cool. And it was like a little museum on the inside, just like giving like the details about like how the monument was built and just like, you know, Texas's history. So like if you don't know, the San Jacinto War was like the war that won Texas's independence from Mexico. So it was really cool to like see that and like learn about Texas. Like I learned so much about Texas while I was there, which was like basically the whole point. If I'm going somewhere, I want to be able to like learn about that area's history. Across from the San Jacinto Monument, they also had the USS Texas. Now we weren't able to like go in the ship because they were doing a lot of construction on it. It needs like a lot of help. Like it's been like flooded over the years and it's just kind of like rusting apart, but we were able to see it from like the outside. And I can like throw up pictures as I talk about this stuff so you guys can like see. I took a lot of photos that whole time. So yeah, that was the first thing. We just saw the little monument and the USS Texas, and then we headed off to the Lone Star Flight Museum. So the next place that we went to was the Lone Star Flight Museum, which was like a little like museum because I didn't want to have like such a busy day on our first day in Texas, but ended up being the case anyways. So this is just a little like tiny museum with a bunch of different kinds of like warplanes, and like goes into like Texas's history on like, you know, flying these different kinds of planes, like fighter jets and like bombers and just kind of like training jets. And you know, it's kind of like whatever. Like I like a little bit of history, but not too much. But my fiance, being a history buff and a history teacher, like he just loves that stuff. So I decided we could go there and he could like check it out, and it was cool. I think like looking back, it was like one of the things that was like less interesting to me throughout the whole trip. But you gotta pick and choose things that you want to do and pick and choose things that your partner wants to do. So that was the case for this. Now, what else did we do? Oh, we also went to Ikea. So up in New York, we don't really have an Ikea. There's one in Toronto, Canada, and there's one in Brooklyn, New York City area. And there is one cabinet that I want, like the Millsbow cabinet. It's one that like people use a lot for humidity cabinets for their plants, but like if you wanted to buy it and ship it up to New York, like half the time it's not even like available for shipping up here, and then the other times when it actually is, it costs just about as much to ship it as the actual cabinet does. So like there's really no point. But we went to Ikea and we walked around, and oh my gosh, that place would be dangerous if it was like close to me. It is amazing the way they set everything up. It just makes you want everything in like the entire store. So after we walk through the whole thing, and it is like a maze, like they tell you like how to go. It takes you like an hour just like to walk through the whole place. I finally found the cabinet, and of course they were sold out. I ended up getting the Millsbow cabinet though from a different Ikea just north of Austin. So I did get it and I brought it home, and that's gonna be my 2022 project. So let's see, after Ikea and the Lone Flight Museum, we went to the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston, and holy cow, if I knew that place was gonna be that big, I would have just done like a whole day just dedicated to that museum. The museum has 3 different buildings and they're all connected by tunnels. So it would take you like a full day to get through everything. And I think we only had to like 6 o'clock until like it closed because it was on a Sunday. So I mean, we tried to see as much as possible. We went through like the Picasso and something else like exhibit where they had like a lot of ironworks and like sculptures. I don't know how to explain it, but I didn't know like Picasso did that kind of stuff. So that was interesting. And then we went through like an Impressionist exhibit, which had some like Monet in it, which was really cool. So like this place had everything. It had like historic art, it had more contemporary, Impressionism, modern art. I mean, it had so much, and it was really, really cool and like very aesthetically pleasing. All the tunnels had like a different like theme. So I took like a very Instagram, TikTok-y worthy video that I'll just like show you guys right here. It's really cringy, but like it was fun. And I made my fiance take a lot of like cringy photos of me while we were there, but it is what it is. So yeah, the Fine Arts Museum was just amazing. It was just a lot, and by the time we were done, we were exhausted because we hadn't had food since we ate like at the hotel, like the hotel breakfast. So for food, we ended up like we were so hungry and like stressed, and like we were pretty much like downtown Houston. So I found this place called the Pit Stop, which was like barbecue, and it was kind of expensive for like what we ended up getting, but it was so good. Like the smoke and the tenderness of the meat, it was really good. Which the weather down there was perfect. I mean, it was like 70s. I think the hottest was in San Antonio. It was like 85, but like it wasn't super humid and it didn't feel hot. Like we weren't sweating our butts off when we were down there. So like the weather was like perfect. So on Monday the 27th, we like spent 3 full days in Houston. So on Monday the 27th, we started off with the Houston Zoo. We spent a few hours there, and that was like really cool. They had like a white rhino, which is like really extinct and like hard to find, so that was cool. They had it all set up still for like Christmas lights, like you could do like later on in the day, but we didn't want to do that because we wanted to see all the animals. And for the most part, like a lot of the animals were out and like active and stuff, so that was cool. Only a few like exhibits, they were like hiding or sleeping or something, we couldn't see them. So for the most part, it was like a pretty good zoo. It was chaotic with all the children that were there. But that is to be expected. Right after that, we went to the Natural Science Museum because it was like right there, and like they had like one parking area, and we got there right when the museum or the zoo opened. So we just stayed like in our parking area and then like walked over to the Science Museum because it's all like in the same area. And like we bought the city pass, so we get like 5 exhibits like included into that. And the line still though, like for the Science Museum, was so long. I think we waited in line for like half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. I'm not sure. And like the museum was like good. There was a couple like good sections and good exhibits, and like the other ones were kind of like eh. So like they had this whole thing on like seashells and mollusks and like all the different kinds of shells. They had a huge exhibit on like minerals and gems like amethyst and peridot and, you know, just all of that. And then like it transitions into like jewelry. I said that really weird. Jewelry and tiaras and like what you can make from like the raw stones themselves. So like that was amazing. And they had like 4 guards in there. So I don't want to know like how much that whole exhibit cost. Then they also had like the biggest section of like dinosaur fossils that I've seen. And like that was impressive. My brother, who loves dinosaurs, would have loved it. I've never seen anything like bigger than that. So then after that, we went to the downtown Houston Aquarium, and that was a big letdown. So yeah, this aquarium, like I said, it was included on like the city pass. Like otherwise I would not have bought in tickets for this, or if I did, I would have been like very angry because we walked through it in like less than like 30 minutes. I had like probably less fish than we saw at the zoo, and it had like 2 lions there, which was weird and interesting. Like one was like a regular lion that had somewhat of an outdoor enclosure, and then the other one was a white, or not a lion, 2 tigers, sorry. The first tiger was like a regular one that had somewhat of an indoor enclosure, and then the other one was a white tiger that had like this whole like Indian Buddhist temple vibe going on. So it was like indoors, and I was trying to figure out if it had an outdoor area, and it made me feel really sad because like they're downtown in the city, so they don't have a lot of room to roam. Like at the zoo, the enclosures there were huge for like the animals that they had. So like that wasn't as bad, but like these 2 tigers that are like in this aquarium, like I felt so bad for. And like, you know, when I go to an aquarium, I'm expecting like, you know, sharks and like really cool stuff, and this wasn't it. They had like a few rides outside for like the little kids. They have like a huge like bar area and a restaurant area, and they have like a stingray reef that you could go like pet stingrays for an extra cost, which we were not gonna do. So yeah, we went through that in like 30 minutes, and I was like, not recommended unless you have little kids. So since we went through the aquarium so fast, Part of our plan when we were going down there was to say hi to some friends. So Jim has a high school friend down there, and he was currently down in Galveston. So we headed down there and met up with him, and we went to a couple of bars. We started off at The Spot, which was like really cool, and unfortunately by the time we got down there it was like getting dark, like the sun was setting over the water, so we saw that, but like by the time we actually got to like the beach and like the seawall, it was like dark. Then we went to the Longboard Pool Bar and had some drinks there, and then we finally got dinner at Benno's, I think it was what it was called. So like I got like a Cajun shrimp meal. It was so good. Alright, so moving on to eyes. I got 2 palettes for my fiance for Christmas. One is from Makeup Revolution. This is it's the Tammy X Revolution Tropical Carnival Shadow Palette. I don't think I've actually used a Makeup London eyeshadow palette, but this is what it looks like. It's very, very rainbowy. Really cool. I'm excited to give that a try. I don't think I'll be using that today. The other one that he got me was the Masquerade Mini by JUVIA'S Place. I also don't think I have any eyeshadow palettes from this brand. And this one has some colors but some neutral, so I think we're going to stick to like these warmer tones down here to kind of match my sweater. Now we're on the 28th, our last day in Houston. We started the day off with NASA, first thing in the morning, 9 a.m. and that place like took like a couple hours to walk through, and it was amazing. They had like the Saturn V there, which is like the rocket that like sent off like all of the Apollo missions. Like it's ridiculous. They also had the Falcon 9, which I think was like one of the first like recoverable rockets and like shuttles from all of the work done by Elon Musk, because like the whole thing with like his SpaceX stuff was that you can recover all of your rockets, because normally when they all like break off and you go off into space, they all like fall back to the earth and are destroyed. So like they literally have like these little tiny wings that like stick out and they come down and they get caught, and like you can like reuse them. So like they had a lot of like cool stuff there. Of course they had a lot of like really simple things going on. So sorry, there's a lot of like little kid stuff there. But it was really cool, and by the time we left, like the line to get in of people was like a mile long, like not even kidding. So after NASA, we went to the Kemah Boardwalk, which was also included on our city pass. This is just kind of like a Coney Island kind of theme. It's right on the boardwalk, and they had some rides. Some of them were down, but we were able to ride like their wooden roller coaster called the Bullet. And it might not be the biggest wooden roller coaster I've ever been on, but it was definitely the fastest. Like, oh my gosh. And Jim, when he's on a roller coaster, he just gets this little kid laugh, and it just makes you like want to laugh yourself, and like it just makes your day. They also had like one of those like drop things, which looking down the ground and looking up at it doesn't seem that high, but when you're up there, it is pretty high, and like you can't really tell when it's gonna drop. And when it actually did drop, like I was lifted up off the seat, so that was terrifyingly fun. And then like just like a couple other rides, so some of them were down. We ended up getting food at Bubblegum Shrimp Company. That was exciting. I've never ate at one before. And we just got like an appetizer because we knew we were gonna get dinner later. So we just got like an appetizer and like a drink. And we got to keep like the souvenir glasses, so that was like pretty cool. So we ended up for dinner, we went to Jackie's Brick House, which was near like the Kemah Boardwalk, and we got crawfish. Now the crawfish were technically out of season when we went there, but like they were still good. My friend, who was like a Texas native, was a little worried. She wasn't feeling too good the next day, and like I was okay. Like I was a little upset, but I was also thinking because we got them in a spicy like fire sauce or like a fire seasoning, that might have been why my stomach was hurting. But like they were good. They were small because again they were out of season, and Jim has never had crawfish before, so it was fun like trying to teach him like how to eat it. And then we also got like stuffed like loaded oysters, which was like really good. And it was just so nice to see my friend and like catch up. Like it made the trip like that much worth it. Because again, like we were friends in kindergarten, and then she up and moved to Texas, and we barely see each other over the past 20 years. And we've been friends ever since. And she's going to be one of my bridesmaids at my wedding. So best friends forever. So then right after dinner, we had to haul our butts up to College Station. I did not realize that when I was planning. This is the only regret I had when I was planning this whole trip, because I planned it like all by myself. So I feel like I did a good job, except for this one part. So like what was recommended to me was like this place called Santa's Wonderland. It's like one of the biggest like light areas like in, I don't know, I've ever seen. But I didn't realize it was all the way up at College Station, which was like a 2-hour drive from where we were in Kemah. And so we didn't get there till like 8:30, but it didn't close until like 10, 11 o'clock at night. And we were there for a couple hours. You get like a hayride and you go through all of these lights, and there were so many lights. There's so many different places to eat food, hot chocolate. But I think like the biggest kicker out of all this is that they had little sections that you could like pay money to go play in like fake snow. Like if you want to go sledding, if you want to go like snowball fights and like just play in the snow, like they have little sections for like these kids to play in the snow. And I'm like, how sad. Like we just have snow and we just like take it for granted up here. Like these kids down here have like never seen it. So I don't know. I like living up here too, because I do like the snow to a certain extent. But yeah, that whole area is really cool. We did like the whole walkthrough, and then we had to drive like an hour and a half to get back to our hotel. So that was a long day as well. So now we're on what? The 29th, and we're heading to San Antonio. We leave first thing in the morning, and our first stop was the Alamo. And we got there like a little early for our thing, so we're just like kind of like walking around. And I realized that there were so many OU, Oklahoma University fans there. I was like, they have like some sort of special like field trip here or something. And then I saw like a couple of like Oregon fans. I'm like, oh, that's weird. And then I saw like them flying like the OU flag and like the Oregon flag. And I was like, what is going on? So I looked it up, and it literally happened to be the Alamo Bowl. Like the Alamo Bowl for college football. While we were there in San Antonio. I was like, are you kidding me? So of course it was hella busy. Like I bet it would have been like pretty quiet for the most part if like all those people weren't there. But no, it was really busy. So it ended up being like really busy, and I got the guided tour, which gave you a lot of information about the Battle of the Alamo, and we got to like go inside like the buildings. Like they still have like the barracks up and like the church. And then like they were still working on it. They're doing a lot of like adding on. So that was like really interesting and just like very humbling. Just like how much a catastrophe this was, and how much like they fought off, but like they end up just being like surrounded by people and like lost the battle obviously. But then at the battle of this, like the San Jacinto battle, you know, that's when they shouted like, remember the Alamo, like remember this. And like that's when they just like came back and just like demolished and like ended up winning Texas's independence. So I thought that was cool. Plus while we were there, it was also the anniversary of Texas's being entered into statehood, which was like pretty cool too. So after the Alamo, we end up walking the Riverwalk. Highly, highly, highly recommend. It is beautiful. But again, we only walked a little bit of it because there were just so many people there. And like it's hard to like walk through because the streets are very narrow along the river. And then you also have all these restaurants and shops that have their tables out. So you really like can't walk through that great. So we just walked through a little bit, and we were both like feeling it. We were like pretty hungry. So we're like, all right, let's just stop and figure out where we're going to go eat. And we ended up eating, I can't remember the name of it, but it was like a Mexican place, and it was so good. It was, I had like enchiladas, I think, and he had some sort of like taco dish, and it was really good. And it's right along like the river walk, so you can like look down at the river and like people watch. So after we ate lunch, we ended up like rushing through, and we did the rest of the missions. So there are like 4 other missions along the mission trail that you could go check out. The first one was Mission Concepcion. It's actually like the only church, I think, that has a double solar illumination. So there's like a couple of windows in the church, and on the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary on August 25th at I think like 6:30 p.m. the light comes through this one window and illuminates the center of the church. And the church is built in the shape of a cross, so like it illuminates the center of the cross. And then there's another window at the top that the sunlight will come through, and it will illuminate the face of Mary. And this only happens on August 25th at 6:30. It doesn't matter if it's sunny out, if it's rainy, cloudy, foggy, it will always illuminate. And it doesn't matter if it's a leap year or not, it will always be August 25th. And like that's crazy because this church was built like how long ago? And it's like, how do they know this? Then we went to the other missions. There's Mission San Juan, San Jose, and Espada. And they all closed at 5 o'clock. So we were rushing to get through because we were kind of like running out of time. I think like they're just like, you know, technically considered a national park, so they close at like sunset. So the first thing we saw in Austin was Mount Bonnell. It's just a short little walk up some steps. And it says it's technically the highest point in the Austin city limits. I'm not sure if I actually believe that, but it did have some amazing views. And that was like really cool. It was a quick little trip. Then we went to the Texas Armed Forces Museum, I think is what it was called. I just can't believe how much information was in this area. They had so many like artifacts and information from all the different wars, and then like Texas's role in each of those wars. So there was so much information there. And then we went to this little tiny museum and studio of Elizabeth Ney, who was like a German architect kind of person who came to Texas, and she made a lot of like busts, like marble busts and like sculptures and stuff. It was something that Jim found. It took us like 10 minutes to go through the place. And then we headed out towards the Family Business Beer Company, which if you don't know is owned by Jensen Ackles and his wife. Jensen Ackles being one of the lead actors in Supernatural, and I'm absolutely obsessed with him. And this is a place I wanted to go check out for a very long time. It took a very long time to get out there. It's like in the middle of nowhere, just surrounded by a bunch of like ranches. Like there are so many ranches in Texas. It's like really crazy to think about. I'm gonna go in with lashes. I'm gonna attempt to try these MOXIELASH. This is the Sassy Lash. It is a pair of magnetic lashes. And you have this like lash magnetic like stuff to put on. Then we headed back to our hotel to check in, because then we also had a comedy show to go to that night at the Vulcan Gas Company. So this is called the Death Squad Secret Show. It is run by, can't remember his name, but he's the dude that helped co-produce the Joe Rogan show and the Kill Tony show, if you guys are familiar with that. So he brings on a bunch of comedians. No one knows who's actually going to show up, and they all get like, you know, a timed set. And every person was like pretty funny except for like one girl. We got to see Tony Hinchcliffe again. We saw him at the Joe Rogan show in Boston, and he was just as funny, if not funnier, than he was in Boston. And this place is just such like a little hole in the wall. Like, oh, it was such a good time. It was really funny, just constantly laughing. We ended up like leaving early just because like we were just done for the day, and got back to our hotel and passed out. And then on New Year's Eve, we ended up driving from Austin, and we made it to just outside Memphis, and we were just so tired and worn out that we didn't go out for New Year's Eve, which sucked because I did get a outfit specifically for New Year's Eve. Didn't get to wear it, but we just knew it wouldn't have been a good idea because the next day we had a 13-hour drive from Memphis back to New York, and we did hit some weather. There was this whole like band like going across the United States, and we were literally following it from Tennessee to Kentucky to Ohio to Pennsylvania to New York, where it then turned to snow and ice the next day. But it overall wasn't a bad drive. I don't know if I would want to make the drive to Texas again, but I did have a really good time, and it was a great way to end 2021. Okay, so one lash is on, and that was like literally crazy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Pumbaa. It literally just like goes right on. Like that's crazy. But you do have to be careful in your application because I think I put it a little bit too high away from my lash line, so it's like sticking like really high up. I definitely think that is a learning curve on placement, and I did just make a whole mess out of this entire eye. Like this one's not as bad. Alright, so that is the completed look. I feel like we're looking very like rustic, orange, warm vibes. I think it goes perfectly with my sweater today. And I shared my entire Texas trip with you. So it's probably a little bit of a rambling on long video, and I apologize for that. I just didn't really have any other content to come back to 2022 with. I think I'm also going to do a declutter of stuff that I'm getting rid of 2021, stuff that I emptied, like am I going to repurchase it or not? That'll probably be the next video. I really want to try to get into like refocusing on my plants, so maybe doing some plant videos. We shall see. I'm trying to think of other stuff to do and bring to you guys this year. Alright, well that is everything for today's video. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. While you're at it, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you are notified every time I post a new video. I love you guys, and you subscribe to my channel. I welcome you to the Feline family. Bye!